but it is strange to note that he's not showing the likes on it. I think tweets like that are also psychotic. So, SunnyV2 and his nightmare has come to light. So, if you don't know, SunnyV2 has released a video titled, "Why Chris Will Soon Be a Nightmare for Mr. Beast." Well, as we'll learn, this is why SunnyV2 will soon be a nightmare for SunnyV2. Anyway, before we get into the video, Mr. Beast has responded to this. In a statement made on his Twitter, "Yeah, this is getting absurd. Chris isn't my nightmare, he's my fucking friend, and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off." You know it's bad when Mr. Beast is swearing and getting angry. And, you know, I've watched this video a few times. I think that Sunny, for whatever reason, this video just comes across really fucking, like, bizarre to me. It's almost like he was trying to be fair, but at the same time he has some, like, strange bias against Mr. Beast, against Chris, or against something. And in the meanwhile, you're just forced to listen to it and go, like, whoa, that's psychotic, that's crazy. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be saying this stuff without showing it to you, so I guess without further ado, we're going to get into it. I'm going to make sure everything is working on my end. I'm going to make sure that everything is good. I think we're good. I'm going to check my... So, without further ado, let's get into why Chris will soon be a nightmare for Mr. Beast.
The Chris Tyson situation could become a complete disaster for Mr. Beast's brand. However, it may also provide some unique benefits. So let's begin by going over the drama before explaining exactly how this will impact the Mr. Beast channel. In mid-2022, fans began to notice that Chris Tyson was changing. In the early days, he represented the quintessential southern gun and truck loving dude. Yet beginning in March 2022, Chris began to display increasingly feminine traits,
To me, I don't think that this is increasingly feminine traits. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I think that this is, you know, maybe his wife painted his nails or something like that. That's always a possibility. Keep in mind, he had a wife and he had a kid. So it's not like we're coming out of the nowhere with this and saying like, oh, well, no, his wife could have painted his nails, who knows. It's not uncommon, to say the least. This isn't where it gets psychotic, and I think it's fair enough to point out that he had been doing this, but it's also kind of just like, what was the point in saying all this? It felt like a bunch of, this feels like kind of a little bit of filler to me. Maybe it's not, maybe I'm wrong, but who knows.
Making tweets such as, "I finally got my nails done at a nail tech." Additionally, Chris would highlight...
So he got his nails done good. By the way, it's worth it every once in a while. I've had it done a few times. Well, I've not had my nails painted, but I've had my nails done... I've had my nails done in a good way. To where... you know... to where they actually feel a little bit better than normal. But I guess that digress. I digress. And this is where I think it gets psychotic. The start of the pandemic versus now. Okay, at the start of the pandemic, this is what he looks like versus now, and he's shaven. Now, listen to what Sunny's gonna say here.
That his facial appearance had changed significantly since the start of the pandemic, which accompanied another post reading, "Okay, so in 4 different customs I had to prove I was myself because I, quote, look nothing like my passport pic, so much that I'm considering updating my passport. Do you see any resemblance?"
The facial structure is basically the same. The problem is the facial... I could understand where anyone is coming from. The lack of facial hair, he does look way younger than the person in the passport. There's a good amount of it. But the eyebrows are thicker. You can see a lot of the changes, and especially the hair. So, in defense of him, and you should if you change your appearance drastically, you should always get things updated, especially if you're an adult and you've got a passport, an ID, or anything of that sort.
Prompting replies such as, "You went from man to boy." Chris
That was a good roast, by the way. That was completely fair.
Responded by stating, "Nah, to be honest, I just really started taking my mental health seriously and eating better." Yet his Twitter photos kept insinuating that Chris was becoming more feminine, with this same kind of look showing up in his Mr. Beast appearances. For example, on the 6th of January 2023, Beast Reacts uploaded a video titled "I strapped a GoPro to a fish," in which Chris dressed in a way that prompted comments such as, "Chris has been adopting more and more traits that remind me of my grandmother." Okay, so some people just gonna ignore Chris's nails? Chris had to have lost a bet. The look is getting wild. The response to the video then prompted countless viral TikToks, such as this one with 700,000 likes, stating, "How did Chris go from this to this?" While others even made the claim that Carl had turned him gay. Now,
I wish I could find... Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wish I could find that TikTok. I looked... So after yesterday's crash of his stream, I tried looking for that TikTok. I can't find it. Maybe it's out there, but I went to the person's @ I through the browser. I don't do things through the app. The app is practically useless, and I deleted it not too long after trying. But, you know, I tried, and I tried, and I tried. I could not find it. No matter... So it might have been deleted. I don't know. But it is strange to note that he's not showing the likes on it. It's almost like it had a low like count, and he just threw it in here to make it sound more convincing. That's what I'm taking away from it.
Now, this was pretty ridiculous, as Carl isn't even that feminine, and Chris had come out as bisexual years before he and Carl had...
In fairness to Sunny for pointing that out, by the way, in fairness to him, he at least pointed out that, like, this tweet existed.
Even met. The true catalyst for Chris Tyson's feminization instead seemed to have come from his marriage. In January 2022, Chris would post a photo with his wife to
This is where we're getting conspiratorial, to the nth degree.
his Instagram, yet after this, the family photo stopped altogether. Fans also noticed that he'd removed his wedding ring, with the ring's absence correlating perfectly with the very first post in which he'd painted his nails. Chris confirmed the split in a post from March 2023 reading, "For a little over a year now, me and Katie have been separated," with this also confirming that Chris's transformation began as soon as his marriage came to an end. Chris went from lighting campfires and raising a family with his beautiful wife to now trying to be a wife with his man buns and long nails. As the criticism continued to pile, Chris announced that he'd be taking a break from social media. And while there was a possibility that Chris would make efforts to return to his former self, he'd rather do the opposite and double down on his feminine image, showing up to the Kids' Choice Awards looking like this, before making the announcement that he'd been doing HRT for approximately 2 months.
So, I don't really see anything wrong with what he's been saying. I don't see anything wrong with him, like, I guess, going to the Kids' Choice Award looking more feminine. If he was having marital issues at the time, which, from what I gathered, he was, and and like he said, they had been split, or they split up afterwards or whatever. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with what he's saying here, but at the same time, I think it's kind of crazy to suggest that, Chris is the reason why, or to suggest that his wife is the reason why he's being ultra feminine. I think that is kind of just nuts in every term.
which according to a quick Google search is the medical process for changing genders. Chris would expand on this by stating, "Informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives. The hurdles GNC people have to jump through to get life-saving gender-affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies," which received a positive response from both Carl and Mr. Beast, who wrote, "Got you, I did one more heart than Carl because I'm a better friend." While his co-workers expressed positivity, others weren't so welcoming. There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be.
So, this is a tweet that I said, I don't agree with the first part. I think that the first part is insane. But the second part, I kind of can understand and can agree with. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. To some degree, that's true. History has shown that time and time again. Nothing wrong with the second part. The first part is psychotic.
Be able to look up to. Hard times create strong men create.
And we don't even get to see the like count on it. No. This is a quote retweet. This is a quote retweet of the original tweet. I'm sure we could find it. I just don't really. I could probably find it in just a second here. But you can tell it's a quote retweet because if you click this and say you go with this one, you can see the format is the same shape. And you've got the likes and you got the encounters all down there. So really quickly, I'm gonna do something. That was recently, so live with Evan. Oh look, it's right there. This had, well, it had 1.2k like, or not 1.2k, 12k likes. So it's not like it's coming from a place of nowhere. All right.
Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Weak man times. Chris responded to this comment by stating, "This is just more dog whistling that somehow trans and GNC folks aren't safe around kids. Tucker begs for me to come back when I leave for like 2 days to film. He is so loved and happy. Kids aren't born with hate, it's taught by people like you, and my child will only know love."
I think tweets like that are also psychotic, so don't get your knickers in a snit. Alright, that is a completely psychotic thing to say. I think that some kids are... I think that there is... I think that there is some value in saying, oh, my kid will only know love, not hate. No, your kid will eventually hate, and you don't have to teach it. Other people can. Alright?
I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this was for Tucker. Chris's response received some positivity such as, "I'm convinced you're an amazing father. Tucker is lucky to have you and also lucky to..."
I'm not dissing, but 3 like tweets... Really, you can't find anything else?
Have all of those who surround and support you in his life, as well as I adore that, I'm glad you made that.
3 in 1. It's like, dude, holy moly, you can't find anything? We're gonna teach you to mark.
That decision. It's so much easier to be a parental figure when you're not struggling with dysphoria, yet he'd also receive an equal amount of backlash. You ripped apart your family and took a
So 3 in 1 like tweets versus 1,355 liked tweets.
Other figure away from your son, just so you could paint your nails and act zesty. Pathetic. He will get torn apart
and 18
at school, won't want to have friends around his house, a life full of difference and being alone. Must have missed the point in that tweet. How's this for him when you're depriving him of a father figure? Although Chris wasn't altered by these comments, as he'd once again reiterate his certainty in a new post reading, "It's never too late to start being yourself," which received praise from Mr. Beast as well as Nolan and Carl. However, these comments also added extra fuel to the fire. In a few years, look back at this thread and remember they were never your friends. Only yes men cowards. Hope you come out of this safe. MrBeast responded to this with a simple opinion irrelevant ratio, to which the
yeah, again, I go back. I thought that this was fucking savage of MrBeast to do. Just opinion irrelevant ratio. You don't expect that from someone like MrBeast.
Original commenter would state, I have 30 followers, so go ahead and ratio me. I'll still rest easy knowing that I'm not a coward who idly sits by watching my friend ruin his own life. In some
God damn. You'd think that these people actually think that transitioning kills you. Literally. Just...
In some ways, it was nice to see the boys standing up for Chris on Twitter. However, the situation has already begun to change the dynamic within the videos. For example, in a recent livestream titled Opening 1,000 Mystery Art Boxes, Chris would once again dress in quite a feminine way, and while everybody participated as usual, the energy and vibe didn't feel nearly as smooth as it normally does. It felt as though there was an unaddressed elephant in the room, and therefore everybody was in their head, as opposed to being in the present moment.
I've never seen Jimmy, MrBeast, so disappointed and sad before. Clearly, you've never seen a picture of, like, MrBeast in any of his things. He has this, like, perma face all the time. Let me see, can I even find one? MrBeast. Is he sad and disappointed here? I mean, seriously. He just has that perma look. It's the same look.
The elephant in the room, and therefore everybody was in their head, as opposed to being in the present moment enjoying each other's company. Maybe everybody was simply too busy opening packages, but Chris did make these bizarre jokes about Jimmy being female, making him incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh my god, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind, MrBeast. That is my tagline.
Becoming even weirder when each member started to pay each other compliments.
Hey, nice shirt. Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Hey, nice shirt.
Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
For the most part, the live stream was devoid of awkward moments. However, it would act.
So, for the most part, there weren't that many awkward moments, guys. But these few awkward moments that are in there, yeah, that determines the whole length of the video. Not... Yeah, I didn't do anything.
As fodder for another 100 million views worth of drama and criticism. Chris likely believes that people will slowly adapt to his new appearance over time, but is this really going to happen? Well, maybe. It's difficult to say as the situation is fairly unique, especially when considering Chris's reputation and influence. However, if Chris continues to transition, would it be unreasonable to say that he could jeopardize some of the personality traits which made him a successful member in the first place? Perhaps the opposite will happen, and he'll instead pick up new personality traits that better resonate with the current MrBeast audience.
I have to be going crazy, because to me this sounds like the guy's not thinking of MrBeast's bottom line at all, and isn't resonating with the fans. It's like, what is... I'd understand the criticism if it's like, you know, oh... You know, but no, it's fully on the lines of just like oh, you don't even he's not taking into consideration that MrBeast's bottom line might get affected by this. I mean, seriously.
This was put forward in many comments supportive of Chris, who implied that there'll be millions of queer kids who look up to him, although this doesn't necessarily mean that it'll add any value to the videos. MrBeast has likely cultivated a massive LGBT audience, all of whom are already watching anyway, and if we've learned anything from Hollywood in recent years, it's that adding over the top
147 likes on a video that I don't know where this comes from. Movies and shows today just makes characters gay for the sake of it. No character development, no good story. So much shit today that just pushes an agenda and forgets that people watch stuff for entertainment.
LGBT character.
I'd like to know what the rest of that comment said, but I can't. This isn't me blurring anything on the video. This is an actual part of the video. Go to 720, you'll see it.
Characters for the sake of relatability rarely works as intended and is often nothing more than a distraction from the premise of the movie or video. On top of this, it can be uncomfortable and unrelatable for the silent majority, although as we have seen, a situation like Chris's does have the potential to create an otherworldly amount of discussion, which could be seen as a benefit for the MrBeast brand.
Drama is good for growth, 100%. That would be an easy way to up my
So you're
if
a
I got
Keemstar
it.
The problem is this type of situation is probably the last thing that MrBeast wants to attract, as he's forced to agree with Chris's position, as he has no way of manipulating the situation without being painted as the bad guy. It's a lose-lose situation for MrBeast. I think Jimmy is in an inescapable situation. If he kicks out Chris, cancelled. If he don't, his channel will die for real.
Okay, no, that doesn't have to happen. He could quietly phase him out. There's nothing wrong with that. YouTubers do it all the time. Even some of the best ones have done this for years. You don't just throw them out onto the street and go, nah, we don't need you anymore. He could anyone could get quietly phased out. It doesn't have to just be him. And it is an escapable situation. Comments like this are the reason why, like, no one really has any grip about, like, what it's like to run a channel. Alright, this is a very audience way of looking at things. Alright, MrBeast could do anything he wants, no problems. Alright,
inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare.
Okay. This is the explanation he gives, alright?
If he don't, his channel will die for real. An inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare.
That's his logic for calling this... Let's see, can I get it? I can. Why Chris will soon be a nightmare for MrBeast? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Nobody on the planet Earth looks at this and says, oh yeah, he totally can't get out of this situation.
Jimmy has no option but to publicly
no likes on this one, 24 on this one.
Express acceptance of Chris's transition, as silence or even worse disapproval would come with obvious severe repercussions. However, in accepting Chris's transition, Jimmy implies that this will be the new normal within the content, thus annoying a different group of people, many of whom will never express their true
no likes again. Yes, you are a defective human. Yeah, MrBeast is going to end up dropping the views because of Chris. I think MrBeast has been up views for a while.
Feelings and may rather simply click on fewer MrBeast videos. If this is the case, Jimmy has no option but to accept this fate, as removing Chris from the videos in any kind of way could create an even more severe media firestorm. The only clean solution, should things go south, might be for Chris to resign himself, and even then rumors and bad press will be unavoidable. Whether it be arrogance or ignorance, Chris seems oblivious to how this whole thing might impact Jimmy, forgetting that he achieved his current level of success by avoiding this exact type of drama.
So that's the MrBeast video, and I have to go back to saying the whole video comes across as psychotic. No matter what angle you look at it, it's like what you're describing is practically saying that MrBeast has no authority of his channel, never will, and never can. This isn't a nightmare. This is SunnyV2's nightmare, 100%. He totally is right about something being a nightmare, but it's this. It's literally just this. Anyway, yeah. I guess let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I'll catch you in the next one.